What's happening, everybody? John Ramdeen, Robin Black here. This is the championship rounds. We're in downtown Toronto at Playdad. Mark's making things happen. You can listen to us on iTunes and SoundCloud. And there's a whole slew of things going on in the world of mixed martial arts. We're going to talk about just general topics, some cool matchups, what's going on with Michael Bisping and George St. Pierre. You had a chance to hang out with one of the greatest fighters to ever compete in the sport of mixed martial arts. Maybe you can tell us how that went down.
Yep.
But the news, I think, since you and I last chatted, was the big announcement by the Ultimate Fighting Championship, by Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather Jr., that this fight is apparently going to happen. I said no fucking way will this fight ever materialize. I said that about, I don't know, maybe a year ago.
And you still said it again even a month ago, probably.
A month, well, no, it wasn't until the UFC got bought. And then you started seeing different trends, and you're hearing rumors about them not doing as good as they hoped. So this makes sense. At the time, when the UFC was purchased, Conor was fighting, Ronda was fighting, Brock Lesnar was fighting. None of them are fighting now.
Right. Well, Conor's fighting.
Now.
So a couple things. If you are listening on iTunes or SoundCloud, we also are live on Periscope at the time that we're recording this. And I just glanced at Periscope and somebody said, Mayweather will destroy Floyd. Which just reinforces to me that a lot of the people who listen to our podcast smoke a lot of weed, right? Mayweather will destroy Floyd. That's
yeah.
What, his dad?
I think people are all worked up.
They're all worked up. That's a good point. So you mentioned sort of this fight happening. What's going on? Like, what is really happening? What's going on is disruption, right? Conor McGregor's a disruptor. He's a disruptor the way that technologies disrupt things. Instagram is now disrupting television or movies or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Technologies come along
things
and
are changing so fast, and people they're trying to process what the fuck is going on.
And so we live in a world where, things have felt quite similar from the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever. So much so that we all kind of fall into these patterns of things. And I just recently read this fascinating blog post by Seth Godin, who I really like. And he was talking about how, so what do you do when you get into an elevator? So you press the button, the thing comes. You get into an elevator. Describe some of the things you do in that elevator.
You know what? I can't recall.
Okay, so I'll tell you what you do, because I've been in an elevator with you a lot of times. But I could be describing anybody.
Yeah, okay.
You get into that elevator and you push a button. Then you step all the way back, and then you stand there silently.
Yeah, that's true.
You don't acknowledge anybody in the elevator.
That's true as well.
And you look up at the thing as it slowly changes. You watch it, you turn your head up. True. When it happens, you look back down. If you might say a nod or say a word to somebody, and then you walk out of that elevator. The only thing in that entire process that actually has to happen is you pressing the button. Every other thing is just cultural bullshit. Cultural habit, because probably history, the reason why I'm stepping back, because if in history is shown, if I don't, the door's going to open and I'm going to have to stand back anyways, because the next floor or the next couple of floors, the door's going to open, somebody's going to step in. I'm going to have to get out of the way. True, but yet when that doesn't happen, you've still stepped back.
Yes.
Every action you have taken in that entire process is unnecessary with the exception of pressing that button. You don't have to stand where you stand. You don't have to look up at that thing. You don't have to be silent. All of those are just cultural bullshit. If an alien or somebody from a different culture came along, they would see that and not know which of those have to be there. But only one does. And we do that in fucking everything we do. The whole world consists of that. We'll be sitting and talking to people and they'll say, well, who's a better striker and who's a better grappler? It's like, we just say that because that's the shit we say.
Yeah.
People say, act the way they act on the news because that's the way they act. People act the way in cars they do. Most of the shit we do isn't real. It isn't required, and it's not a part of how you go through life. And the McGregors of the world, just the same way as, who's that guy who invented Tesla, or who owns Tesla? Elon Musk's of the world. A lot of these people are just like, there are these cultural habits and almost, rituals that we do that are all unnecessary and untrue. And Conor McGregor says that about, we have to go up rankings. Fuck rankings. Rankings aren't real. He says, I have to wait for a title thing. Fuck title things. I can only fight in one weight division. Fuck weight divisions.
Yeah.
He looks at all that other superfluous bullshit, and he realizes quite rightly that it's all nonsense.
I understand that, but this is a very bizarre scenario for Conor McGregor, who has never boxed professionally, to get the highest caliber boxing match maybe ever based on the payouts. They're talking each guy getting 100.
100 and 200, I'm hearing? But I don't know. I don't have the details.
For his professional debut.
That guy was on welfare 4 years ago.
Yeah, but if you listen to what he says about welfare, he's like, you know what? That was just a thing. It's like, he goes...
You didn't have a job.
He goes, I just didn't have a job.
Yeah.
I didn't have a job, and I went and trained because I knew this was the end goal. Yeah. So the money came in. I guess Ireland's, their social assistance system is set up to allow people to thrive, and he goes, so it's kind of overstated because, I think culturally here in North America we have a certain perspective of the welfare system.
Yeah. Yes, it's true. So, he was just like, that's what everybody in this town, if they didn't have a job, that's how that worked. Right. And Canada, too, welfare is something that's a little more of a safety net here than it is for a lot of other places. But what I'm kind of getting at, and once you start to have this disruptor way of thinking, a lot of things become bullshit. Right? And of course, this is very risky because it breaks institutions. The way that you act when CNN talks to you, the president of the United States said, that's bullshit. You don't have to talk this way. If you look back only 2 years, the way people spoke in politics, well, we have to consider all of the moments in which, the population, and that this man said, why is everybody doing this? They're acting like there's some law or rule or physical or psychological structure in which you have to act this way. So this guy was like, the UFC says it has to be this way, but I disagree. I'll make it this way. They say one weight class. They say you can only cut this much weight. They say you can't override somebody. So he has basically, made a living, a career, his existence in not accepting a lot of that bullshit that happens when you get in an elevator. And that's what's got him here. However, now you actually have to beat the very best boxer in the world.
Yeah, so that's... When you think about what he's accomplished, that's not... a bar is not set. You can't just be some 10-0 MMA guy and think, you know what, I want to fight the best boxer in the world because I want the biggest payday. It doesn't work like that now.
No.
Just because Conor is able to do this doesn't mean that the door is going to be open for other MMA fighters.
That's the crazy thing.
What I mean?
Every step that he's done has basically been like, well, what do you mean you can't have two belts?
He's an anomaly, though.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. All these other guys come along and go, I want to have 2 belts.
Yeah, right.
He didn't. It wasn't the fucking 2 belts.
Yeah.
It was the doing something different. So when
right.
you copy 2 belts, you are not copying Conor McGregor. You are copying his actions, but you're not copying the philosophy of do something different. Then he says he's going to box. And fucking Jimmy Manoa says he's going to box.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stipe is going to fight Joshua. None of them are going to fucking box anybody.
What I'm sure there's a desire, though.
Sure, there's a desire. But what they're missing is not do what this guy did. What a great idea. What they're missing is innovation.
Yeah.
Innovate, break the rules, operate outside of this. A lot of the reality we live in is a structure we all agree to live in.
Right. But just think about your own personal martial arts experience. You start with Taekwondo, then you start doing jiu-jitsu into MMA, and then you spend time with Billy boxing.
Yes.
And then once you start boxing, you're like, holy fuck, I'd like to do this for sure.
Yeah.
So you can imagine how many MMA fighters, especially a guy like Jimmy Manoa, who that's how he does shit. I'm just using this as an example where he can't. Maybe he can. Now that the door's been opened, it's just like shit. I didn't even think that was a possibility.
It isn't a possibility because you're under a contract with a company that doesn't allow.
Right.
How come McGregor could break that?
Yeah.
And why are we talking about everything other than the fight? Because the fight itself. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
But the fight itself. Now, we are. Anybody who talks about hand speed, footwork, distance, rhythm, left hands, head movement, is fucking missing the whole point. Because everything you learn about everything we've studied for our adult lives, we know Conor McGregor has no chance. Unless he does. And if he does, it's outside of these things.
Yes.
So Tracy was with us here on Periscope a while back, and I had brunch with her when she was in town, and we were looking at working backwards from a formula. So this cup is somehow McGregor wins. So we're not saying he can, but let's wake up on Sunday and he won.
Yeah.
And we work backwards from it. And we try to explain how and why did he win. And what we're going to go is, we're going to look at the math of what he has. Oh, well, was it the hand speed? No, it wasn't the fucking hand speed. Was it his footwork? No, it wasn't the footwork. So we'll take all of the details of what he brought to that fight on paper, and then we're missing something. The math doesn't add up to a win, which means there's something we don't understand.
Something else there.
And our desire to explain it shows our weakness, our flaws. I'm sorry. It's not that we want to explain it. It's that we've jumped to conclusions of the shit that's laying around.
Yep.
You know what I mean? There's maybe it was his powerful left hand. Robin called it the Celtic Cross. Firas called it the touch of maybe it's that. It's not. If we woke up on Sunday in a world in which he won it, we are missing some kind of information that in 2080, people would look back and go, yeah, back in 2017, they didn't understand this, dynamic between brains, or this dynamic of how somebody influences their own behavior and that of someone else. If he could win this fight, it is using something that we literally don't currently have words for. Because otherwise he gets fucking murdered. Right?
I mean, that's based on logic, based on what we've seen, based on math, based on history, based on all of these factors, based on Floyd's genius. Yes, it seems very, very fucking unlikely that Conor McGregor is going to go into this different realm and beat Floyd Mayweather.
And yet somewhere in
where it's like, I wouldn't be fucking surprised. I mean, I would be surprised.
Yeah, I'd be shocked, but
I'd be like, holy fuck, he found a way. He found a way based on the rules and based on this and based on this and we're going to do this. We're going to ignore these other things and we're going to focus on this path and this. We're fucking doubling down.
Yeah, exactly.
And if it doesn't work, guess what? We made $100 fucking million.
Yeah, exactly. But if you're going to look for it within the known, within the knowledge base of what we know about fighting, and I'm not tooting our own horn here, but how many people on Earth? 8 billion?
Yeah, I think 9 billion.
Yeah.
9 billion people on Earth. Something insane like that.
In our experience studying fighting, we'll have to be in the top 0.01%. Well, is there 8,000 people who have studied fighting more than us? Because if
over time, maybe.
What's billion?
Genghis Khan?
A billion is 9 zeros? Right?
Yeah.
So if there were 8,000 people that had studied fighting deeper than us, that would be, it'd still be in the top million.
Sure.
0.001%. And we're here to tell you that with the knowledge that we have, he cannot win. And yet there's some reason to think he can. There's some reason
he's
that
dazzled
defies logic, but there are lots of different ways to look.
And he's lost. We've seen him lose. We saw him lose to Nate. But there's still something in my brain and something that in my heart that it's like, if anybody could figure out a way to get this done, maybe it's this lunatic Irish guy.
So let's just make an attempt to try to find what this unknown thing, this, variance could be that we don't know about. So there are many examples, but, 100 years ago, nobody knew what microwaves were. They fucking existed.
Yeah.
We just didn't know what they were.
Right.
Whatever this, if there is such a thing, whatever it is in the future, we'd know. But why don't we take a little theory, play around with what possibilities. And so what I come up with, so what has he done? What has Conor McGregor actually accomplished? Influence. He has accomplished influence. There are, if you grab, and I walk down the street and people that have never watch the fight or watch very few. Hey, you're that fight guy. Oh, what do you think of this McGregor Mayweather? You get it all day, right?
Well, not every day, but
I've been getting it every day, all day. So what has he done? He has influenced people. So he's done it en masse. You can find, you grab 10 million people. 1 million of them fucking love this man, worship him. He's the greatest thing ever. And 1 million of them fucking despise him. And when I talk to some of those million, in whatever setting, they'll be like, this guy fucking sucks. You know, Mendez was injured. You know, Mendez didn't train, and he got lucky with all the, and they will seek to deny anything he will have done. Oh, he got the UFC push. Trust me, they tried to push Lorenz Larkin too. It only happens if it happens. Did
they really try to push
No, I'm using as I'm reaching here. Yeah. But we'll go back to that in a second. But essentially, we will only spend our money advertising a movie if it has a chance of being successful. Yes. And we're not fucking spending our money advertising a movie or a company or a brand new car or a fighter unless it's going to be massive. And that's only true if they have something special. Ronda got the push, but Kat Zingano didn't. Kat Zingano did. Long enough to get beat up by Ronda.
Sure, but she still got the push. Yeah. And there's some that complain.
But compare.
Yes.
Compare the influence.
I understand, but you can't compare. You know what I mean? So one's a star and one's not a star.
Exactly.
And if you push Conor, it's like, oh, okay, well, we're going to keep pushing this. Another fighter, it's like, we're going to push you. It's like, we tried. Things didn't take off. Now you got to try to...
Star power is a real thing.
Yes, it is.
It's a real thing. When I played in the music business, people would complain about like the advertising budget of their band. Your band sucks. Your band is not remarkable, and there is no sizzle. They're not going to spend their money. They'll spend it when it's there to work. But anyway, besides that, which is generally not an area of much interest to me, but people talk about it, so you have to at least consider it. So influence. So he's created, when people talk about how much they hate him, I try to say is, look, this is proof of influence. Like, you don't hate anybody this much. How come you hate this guy this much? Oh, he did these things. No, what he did was he influenced you. He influenced you to hate, to despise, to be angry, to be passionate, to freak out, to type angrily into your board.
Oh, because people don't like confident people. They don't like confident, successful people that say, I'm going to go and do this. Yeah. And then they go out and do that. Yeah. And it makes people fucking mad as hell.
Yeah. Why? Because it is a little hint that maybe, just maybe, we have the influence over our lives. If this man is evidence that you can go from welfare to $100 million in the highest level athletic or entertainment endeavor in decades, maybe we're capable of doing a lot of shit in our life. And for a lot of people, they don't want that to be true, because that means whatever's happening in their life is their fucking fault.
It's true.
Nobody wants that feeling,
it's true,
right?
But at the same time, people don't see the work. You say go from welfare to be the champion of the world. You don't jump from welfare to fucking champion of the world. Yeah. 2-division champion. Yeah. There's insane amounts of work there and sacrifice and dedication that the people, the armchair quarterbacks just simply cannot grasp.
Yeah, and which is also why, as much as on one hand McGregor says it's about work, it's about effort, it's about obsession, that's great. On the other hand, he talks this nonsense about what's that book called? The Secret?
Yeah.
Dude, The Secret, the problem with this concept is that people are like, if I just keep thinking about money, it'll come. No, you fucking work after that.
He's saying it's the combination of the two. This positive thing and your desire to work your ass off.
But then the work itself, desire to work. Yeah. A lot of people say, oh man, if only I would get hired to do X, Y, and Z, I would work my ass off. You get hired or you accomplish X, Y, and Z by working your ass off when nobody's watching.
Yes.
McGregor worked his ass off when no one had heard of McGregor. And so does everybody else in a similar setting. But so that's why, that is one reason. Many other reasons. You might just not like, people who act a particular way, and it may not have anything to do with revealing your own fear of control over your life. But so back to influence. So he's on a large scale had the ability to influence millions of people, good and love and hate.
Yeah.
Right? That's a power.
Superpower.
Then he seems to have also been able to focus it to be able to influence in moments people like Jose Aldo, people like Dana White, people like Floyd Mayweather. Now, somebody might say, Floyd looks at it and goes, this is easy. But it ain't going to happen. Floyd could fight a lot of 0-0 MMA fighters or wrestlers. Or Aaron Pico said he could be a boxing champion. These people are insane. Or are they?
I mean, I guess if you reverse engineer things, Holly Holm is a mixed martial arts champion and a boxing champion.
Yeah. There's this, I forget her name, this very pretty blonde high-level boxer that is fighting in Bellator. Blonde girl. Attractive. Excited to... It's funny. Normally, Rose Namajunas is attractive, and I do enjoy watching her fight, but I don't see her and go, I really want to see her fight. But something about this girl in Bellator, I don't know what it is. I'm like, I want to see her go fight now. Oh yeah, Heather Hardy. That's right.
Hardy.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of her boxing matches, and she can box. But yeah, there's something compelling about her. I don't know what it is. It's interesting. But yeah, so what if you can focus? So you have this ability to influence the masses, which clearly this fight is happening because of that.
Yeah.
What if, when focused, there's something in influence, there's something in control that you can use in the dynamic between two human beings? You know, people influence people to buy cars. People influence people to, sleep with them. They have entire books on guys picking up girls and getting them to sleep with them. People influence people when you go and you weren't really sure.
But who are the people being influenced? Does that matter?
That's a good question, because
is Floyd Floyd is also an influencer.
That's
that
right.
when you watch this guy burn money, like my blood was boiling because it's like, hey, I understand it's his, but
he earned it.
Yes, and he did earn that.
It's offensive
to think about the amount of people in this world, or the United States, or in Las Vegas alone, where Mayweather lives, that don't have any money. And
I get it. Mean he actually physically burnt?
He burnt money.
How much?
I don't know how much it was.
Stack. What the fuck?
Do you know what exactly?
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, it's
so
his money.
rude.
It's his money. And I think it's actually against the law for him to, what does that say? Triple G. I love watching Triple G.
I know, that's this weekend. No, it's a couple weekends before.
That's after. It's in September.
Oh, it's after, right? Yeah.
That was Triple G and who?
Canelo. Yeah, that's fantastic.
And everybody says boxing's dying. I don't understand. Yeah. Kovalev and friggin' Ward just happened. Lomachenko.
Oscar's freaking out that this is the worst thing ever.
Well, he wanted to be a part of it. That's why.
Exactly.
It's like, how can... I wish I was a part of this billion-dollar fight.
He's got a brilliant fight between two brilliant boxers, which is going to be massively overshadowed by this Irish lunatic.
Yeah, I know.
But it's compelling.
I know, it's compelling.
Because what if... Like the assignment, the mission, the task is impossible. It's not possible.
I look at it.
Or is it?
I don't know. Again, the only thing I can compare it to is when James Toney came into the Ultimate Fighting Championship, the former heavyweight champion.
Opposite of that.
It is the opposite, but it's the same in the sense. You're having a guy come from where he was a master in his own right in the world of heavyweight boxing, to come into the world of mixed martial arts against a decorated world fucking champion in Randy Couture. And it played out exactly the way everybody in the world anticipated it would play out.
Yeah.
James Toney getting dumped on his fucking
low
back,
single,
and Randy Couture on top, smashing his face in until the referee stopped the fight.
Of course. I mean, we had no other expectation. And using the same logic in reverse, we see Conor McGregor unable to touch Floyd Mayweather until Mayweather is playing for a while and then gets more and more comfortable, and then Conor slows, and then he realizes, wait, I don't have to be that defensive. Oh, I'm seeing him in slow motion. Oh, he's rudimentary, etc. And then he finishes him in the third or the fourth. Yeah. But somehow I fucking see another possibility.
I know.
And that is...
It's like the smallest thing, but it's still hope. I don't even
know if it's hope. It's just... suspicion. It's a suspicion.
I would like to see Conor do something. It would be just so fun.
MMA, it's our thing. Boxing is something else we like, but it's not our obsession.
I don't want this to be, the boxing version of Muhammad Ali and Antonio Inoki, where it was just Muhammad Ali standing and Inoki in like the guard position and nothing happened.
Yeah. No,
where
true.
Mayweather's just moving and Conor just can't get a read on him, and nothing happens. But I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, I want something to happen, and I don't want it to be just a one-sided thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Fuck, I don't know, man. I've been thinking about it a lot.
Conor will show up. And that's where it ends.
Would you rather Habib versus McGregor? That's another thing. This is something so strange, and for me, it plays into the two things that I'm really interested in, which is happening simultaneously, which is martial arts and the idea of disruption and shattering of paradigms. And it plays into the two together on such a high level that I just deeply fascinated.
See, I hate it because it deprives me as a mixed martial arts fan of seeing the real fights. Because
like Habib?
Yeah, exactly. Because if I had my say, if I was to sanction this fight, I'd be like, Conor, you fight the way that you fight, and Floyd, you fight whatever way you want to fight. We're going to flip a coin. Oh, it happens to be in a ring. Unfortunately, no cage for you. You guys are fighting in the cage. You kick his legs if you have to kick his legs.
Yeah, but then he would murder Floyd.
Well, that's
we just saw that. Okay. You just described that.
But again,
Randy Couture.
Right. Yeah. But the fact is, you guys just go and you do your thing. See, that's not going to happen.
Right.
So then I want Conor to be facing the other guys like Khabib, like Ferguson, like Nate, like whoever's at 55 or whoever. I would just, there's so many fights I would love to see from Conor McGregor that, to me, this boxing match with Floyd Mayweather rips me off as a fan.
So what you are saying is that mixed martial arts as a form of combat is greater than boxing. I agree with you 100%.
Except for watching the science of boxing.
Yeah. When Triple G and Canelo box,
I want to see that.
That's going to be fucking good.
I want to see that for sure.
That's going to be fucking good.
That's what I mean. It's just like kickboxing. I don't want to watch fucking Simon Marcus taking guys down. I want to see Simon Marcus punching people and kicking people in the head.
Somebody says you're going to see the difference between UFC stand-up and boxing stand-up.
We all know what it is.
But we're not... I know the fucking difference between the stand-up of the free fighting game and the specialized stand-up of boxing.
Yeah.
And I know that the boxer will murder that man unless there's something else at play.
Yeah.
If there is not something else at play, we don't even have to have this conversation. I think that's my ultimate point. The conversation for me, when somebody's like, what about that left hand? No, we don't have to have it. He can't touch Floyd. What about the footwork? What about the range? You know, fighting range is different. No, it doesn't matter. Floyd's fucking sparred 7,000 people over. They've tried everything. Oh man, what about the head game? It has to be something else, or else these conversations are pointless. They're one-sided. If there were two columns and one side got a check mark for advantages, Floyd gets every single one.
Floyd.
Yes, exactly. Except for some other ones, which are little boxes down here that are left blank.
Or in the middle.
Oh, yeah.
Intangible.
Exactly.
That's
intangible.
What is that?
The unknowns.
Yeah.
The things that we don't yet understand. Maybe. Maybe those are checked. And maybe those are more important.
I would not go all in on.
No, fuck no. No, I would not. Excited to see how Conor will mix together MMA boxing techniques. Again, it's not that. It isn't that. But he's fucking murdered, and he's going to lose, and he's annihilated.
But you still
unless
have to throw
there's
punches.
Something else.
You still have to be. You still have to hit your man.
Yes. Even if those. So let's say Sunday he's won, and we say, oh man, it was all about his left hand. Oh man, I couldn't believe it. It was the way he was moving in and out. If any of those things happen, everybody will be having the wrong conversation, because it isn't, holy shit, I couldn't believe he got the left hand on him. It's why and how. And where people will look for why and how will be in, his expression of his hips and the way he touched. It'll be shit that happened in the dynamic between their minds. All of it. All of it.
Low blows, headbutts.
Sure.
Stressing him out with the way that Conor does.
If that is part of undermining his own understanding.
I see.
Yes. But even if it's like, oh my God, McGregor, it turns out he is the best boxer of all time. He's not. What it will turn out is that there are things happening in the psychological dynamic between two men in combat that we do not understand. Maybe McGregor doesn't understand, but on Sunday morning we would be saying that whether he understood it, or Kavanaugh did, or fucking I did, or we don't. It'll be understood when we have breakthroughs of the mind. And what I'm saying is, in the unlikely event that we're talking about this on Sunday and we can't fucking believe it, Every dumbass in the world will attempt to explain it. And we will not be able to explain it properly because we don't yet understand. But more likely, my man Conor, who I'm an enormous fan of, won't quite be able to do that because although he could do it to a lot of people, Floyd may not be one of them.
I just find it hard to believe that there are so many Conor haters out there. When you look at his body of work, you know, the win over Aldo and the win over Nate and Eddie Alvarez and Max Holloway and Dustin Poirier. He's only fought good guys throughout his career, and for him to be 2 division champion and capture the imagination of the friggin' world. Like I was talking
in
to
Korea, they're talking about.
Everybody knows the one guy. I talked to this one kid that I know. We're talking about. He goes, "Oh, I'm a boxing fan." I'm like, "Really? You're a boxing fan?" He goes, "Yeah, I don't really watch the UFC." And I mentioned Conor McGregor. He goes, "Oh, I know Conor McGregor." He goes, "I've never seen him fight, but I know him."
Yeah.
People that he just, it's one of those names that, and that's the sad part about it, is that people, this fight is going to attract so many people that aren't even combat sports fans, and that's who you are appealing to. People that really haven't spent any time, dedicated to watching combat arts, and they're there to be a part of the spectacle. And the spectacle is actually all your friends are going to a bar or there's a party and there's fights on and nobody's even paying attention to the fight.
And of those 10 people, the 2 Irish guys and the guys like me who's like obsessed with possibilities and outside the box things and things that break the norm, and a couple other people like, I fucking love that, and one girl, I love that guy, and those guys, I hope he gets fucking murdered. Like, and that love-hate dynamic between the people in bars, at parties, that part is a big part of it. And that's influence again. That's influence. I don't know how long we've been talking, almost an hour, exclusively on this. Exclusively.
Wow, how did
because
that even
it's
happen?
On some level, and you and I are obsessed, and we will talk about Gunnar Nelson's fight coming up in a couple months, and we'll it'll be a joy to talk about. And when we're done here, for the YouTube channel, we'll talk about Michael Johnson versus Justin Gaethje.
Yeah, cool.
But right now, this feels, because it's so epic. Because it's so weird.
I expected to spend 10 minutes on this, to be honest with you.
Me too.
And,
but we've been drawn into it. He's influenced us.
Yeah.
He's influenced us. He's influenced fucking the whole world.
Yeah.
Let's make it a Mayweather-McGregor special.
Yeah. So now it is a Mayweather McGregor special. That's what this championship rounds has become. We started out today. We planned to talk about a whole bunch of things. And this is what we're going to talk
August
about.
26th, that's when the fight happens. You're going to the show.
I will be in Vegas from Tuesday to Saturday, covering it for a large outlet. I will also be doing breakdowns, high production breakdowns. And I think I'll be doing them for the biggest platforms I've ever done them for. And I think that this bizarre fight will give me the chance, and people like me and other types of coverage, if they're so inclined, a chance to go and make a few people go, oh, that's interesting. That's a lot more interesting than I thought. I thought they were just savages,
You said high production breakdown. I'm going to do a production breakdown, but I'm going to be high.
Nice. Well, I would refer to that as a high production.
But, of course I'm going to tune into this fight. I just don't know.
$100? You gonna pay $100?
Of course not. That's
probably what's gonna be.
Yeah, well, if that's
$99,
the case,
let's say, or $89, something like that.
I probably won't. I think that.
So what are you gonna do then? You're gonna find a stream.
I'll probably go to some Boston Pizza, or figure out some alternative.
Yeah, stream. It's not. I was gonna say it's not against the law. It's probably. I mean, I'm sure it is against the law, but it's also. Let's be real. We live in a world where all of this is very similar to what we were talking about, that not accepting a lot of the shit that we just accept. It's these laws.
But the UFC
you're not allowed
to. They were suing people before.
Yeah, but they're not part of this. It's Showtime.
That. Yeah,
now.
right.
Also, there are acts that you do with your wife, and everybody here does on a regular basis, that are illegal. According to the law, in the law where they live. And why not change that? It's like, nobody gives a shit about that. We're getting to that point. People walk down the street smoking marijuana in Toronto.
Wow, that's disgusting.
Yeah. There's laws still that say you can't, but they'll be gone soon. I think downloading is illegal, but watching a stream is not.
Not yet.
I even got some top shelf shatter. If you're listening on iTunes or SoundCloud, we're reading a couple of comments from Periscope Live, which we enjoy doing simultaneously.
I really just feel that, there's no way. It's just like not the newest, but the last newest Star Wars movies that were coming out after the original 3 movies were released. There is absolutely nothing George Lucas could have done that would have satisfied the masses, because we built it up in our minds of what it's going to be, or what we anticipate, because we have these crazy minds that can conjure up these massive images. Yeah. And then instead you pay $100. It's like, what the fuck? Nothing even happened. Or Floyd laid that guy out. I can't even believe they're both professional fighters. I just don't know how this fight is going to live up to people's expectations unless there's some crazy, controversial Hail Mary out of the blue. $100 is too much. That's why you have to get together with friends.
Canadian Ninja says $100 is too much.
Yeah.
That he's going to buy it. Everybody's going to buy it. We can all say that.
No, he can buy it. He can buy it. Then a bunch of people come to his house and it's like, look, man, this cost me $100. Can everybody chip in $5 or $10?
$20 each, 5 people. That's all right. But you know what that also does? I love that. I mean, not a lot. There are people, and we're among them, who watch fights alone and watch them a second time. I watch them alone every Sunday morning, too.
That's my favorite time to watch them.
But I watch them with my friends, Jen and John and West Coast Dave and the gang come over, and we drink and we hang out and we yell at the television and stuff, and then the next morning I analyze them. But not a lot of people
$100,000 for ringside seats.
But I mean, how many are there? 800 ringside seats? There's fucking 8. There's probably 1 million millionaires in the United States. I bet it's more than that. You got to get invited to buy the tickets. That's the elite of the elite of the elite of elites.
The douchiest douches on the planet.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And they
have literally no idea what they're watching.
Yeah.
They're just here because the other millionaires are here, and this is the place to be. Oh, that's sad.
My recommendation, if you are one of the many multimillionaires who watch us.
I'm in Saskatchewan. Is that Brock Lesnar? Is that you?
Is that you?
We'll come watch.
If you are one of the hundreds, maybe thousands of millionaires who watch Ramdeen and I or listen to us on podcast form, I would recommend calling up somebody who knows the fight game and somebody that's interesting. And I think Everlast, I would recommend.
Oh, yeah, you said you hung out with him. He was a big fight fan.
Everlast from House of Pain. I would recommend you look up Everlast and you bring him, because he's a boxing and MMA guy, and he's super cool. And
Mike Ness from Social D.
He's a boxing
trainer as well.
Yeah.
So
I am currently trying to pimp out some level of celebrity type, fun, interesting expert. Russell Peters can afford it.
Yeah, of course.
Russell, hook a brother up. I will come with you.
Yeah.
Although last time I hung out with Russell Peters, me and Elias, I drank like 50 vodka Red Bulls. So, and I was slow dancing with his mother and stuff. So he might be like, Robin gets too drunk.
You got him hooked up with a gi.
Yeah.
No, he'll be good.
Did they send those? Did Hayabusa send those? That's good. I'm glad. Yeah, Russell Peters is training at Jean-Jacques Machado's, but boxing is his thing. Russell loves boxing. Yeah. He's got old boxing clippings, Jack Johnson and stuff on his wall in his house.
Of course, because that's his thing.
So I bet Russell will be there. I'm going to be there, but I won't have a seat. How much was that? $100,000? I got $100 that I could do.
I think you could find your way in there.
But
people like you.
People like me.
Come on.
I'll be working though, so I'll be in the building. I don't know if I'll get up to press row.
Russell was buddies with Vernon Forrest. Yeah, right.
That's right.
Yeah, and I think, again, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Russell's dad was a champion boxer at some insane small weight.
Yeah.
Like,
considering Russell's like a big
he's
dude.
A giant.
If you don't know who Russell Peters is, you obviously don't watch comedy because Russell's a comedy legend. But he is a boxing expert too. He really knows the game. One time he and I were chatting about doing a podcast together for the UFC. It was just a conversation that started. Let's wrap this up. We've got some other short Gaethje and Michael Johnson. You can find that on the YouTube channel. We're about to do that. You gonna hit a gagger first?
Not a gagger. The vaporizer is a cleaner, healthier way to go
for an athlete.
System.
Such as
exactly. You know what I mean? I'm an endurance athlete.
You're an endurance athlete. Although the Diaz brothers smoke a lot of marijuana. I'm sure they vape too. Although I've seen them with bags in their house. Like the lawyer was hitting those bags. Oh, that's a vape bag.
That's the volcano.
But there's also marijuana is a bronchial dilator. So it can actually benefit you with your breathing.
That's why when I bike on every day, the 30K.
So we're going to be talking about this more. No question about it. Like, I don't know when you picked up this podcast or watched this, but we're discussing this late June.
Yeah.
We're going to circle back. We're getting together next week to do a bunch of short hits.
Because there's a bunch of killer fights happening.
Yeah, Weidman and Kelvin, all kinds of good stuff.
Many good. You have not Jacare. You have Bobby Knuckles and Romero for the fake title.
Yeah. People think Mike has the fake title. But this is the thing.
Mike who?
Bisping.
How does Michael Bisping have the fake
champ?
title? That doesn't make any sense.
I know. I'm just saying what people say. People say crazy
Jesus
shit.
Christ. Anyways.
But all of this stuff, so this is my last thought on, the nonsense that we accept as structures and realities. And even, it's scary to say this, but we start to see these structures and institutions decaying in our society. Now, fortunately and seamlessly, new things are taking over. Yeah. So media is one simple example, because when we live in, as old schools disappear, whether it's Instagram or YouTube or other, and the next thing is already happening, that happens. So that's an easy one. As taxis, and there's a taxi right out front. I saw a taxi driving down the street, and he had a giant cardboard in the window, and it said, "Uber is," in capitals, "not here to stay." It's like, dude, it is. You can't just deny change. You have to go with change. But McGregor is somehow trying to hack many of these institutions.
However, didn't Sony believe the fucking Betamax was here to stay?
They went all in on it. And
what the fuck happened?
Right there is the risk. The reason, so McGregor, let's say, we talked about what would happen if he won. You'd have to go back and go, we're missing some information. This isn't about, oh man, he's got the best left hand in the business. It's something we don't understand. If, on the other hand, he can't touch him for 4 rounds.
I'm with you
and then
that.
He gets knocked out. This is the risk of why trying these types of disruptions are risky, and why most people don't do them, because you go all in on something. So you use Betamax. A lot of people who are younger than us have no idea what you're even saying. There was VHS before DVDs, which was before streaming.
And before DVDs, VHS,
there was Beta
came out.
And the two competed.
And Sony, who created Beta was superior to VHS, but apparently
Sony owned Beta, and everybody else owned VHS.
I think it was JVC started VHS, and then they sold the rights, and then everybody started mass producing VHS, and I guess Sony just couldn't,
because you could only afford one or the other.
Yeah.
I don't know how it is in America, but in Canada, A&W restaurants, I don't know if anyone's paying attention, but if you're McDonald's, Tim Hortons, Burger King, whatever, right underneath your nose, these guys are taking a big chunk of shit.
The antibiotics and
their marketing, their positioning, the way it looks, the way they advertise, what they represent. They changed the perception of what 16-year-olds think about fast food, and they're gonna fucking take it all, right? That's what's happening. The risk is you go all in on that, and the 16-year-olds go, who are these? I don't like A&W. This is garbage. I don't care about, the things they think we care about. Fuck them. We're not eating their burgers. And you die. So it is risky. But when your options are innovate or die, which they so often are now, it's innovate or die. So that means if you do not innovate, you'll die anyways. It might take 2 years for your company to go out of business, or 5 years for your company to go out of business, or 5 years until, and I'm not picking on Jose Aldo. But I'm just using him as an example. He was a prototype that was a sure thing. And Barao too. They were sure things. But things change. The game changes. And you have to change and be capable of changing as well. If you don't, eventually your time comes. and you end, and then something new comes along. But when it's innovate or die, it's if you do not innovate, you die. And I know die is a metaphor.
Yeah.
And if you do innovate, you still might fail. You innovate and you fail. But McGregor has innovated his way through, and then people's answer to that, whether we're talking about Amanda Nunes or Cody Garbrandt, oh yeah, I'm gonna be a 2-division champion. Or, Jimmy Manoa or Stipe, oh, I'm going to fight a boxer. You don't just copy innovation. You innovate as well, or you innovate around it, or you innovate out front of it.
But I'm sure those guys have probably said that at some point in the gyms. Oh, I'd like to do this. Conor was just the first one to say it publicly. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm sure Jose Aldo has been teasing going up to 155 pounds for years and years. And people thought, oh, maybe this guy could be a 2-division champion because he's so big. He beat Frankie, and Frankie was the 155-pound champion. It's just he didn't verbalize it out to the world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But it's risky to verbalize it to the world.
That is risky.
I say once a week that I'm going to commentate the UFC one day. I say it. I mean it. I'm going to do it. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And at 60, if I have not, where's the risk really? What really happened? Well, that guy had a dream and he went for it. Unfortunately, never made it. But I bet he had some great adventures going for it. There's no real risk.
Exactly.
But people feel there's a risk.
Yeah.
They fear it. McGregor said, he will come at me, and as he swings that right hand, I saw it twitching. I will land my left into the space, and he will fall. Now, if he never said that, it would have meant nothing. If he did say it with Diaz, I'm going to take him out in the first round. How many people bring that up ever? It's never brought up. So there's really no risk at all.
Yeah, exactly.
There really is. It's a perceived risk. There's a fear. But that fear doesn't need to be there. If there's something you want, if there's something you're after,
do it,
and fucking say it loud.
I agree. Okay, we're gonna go. We're gonna wrap up this edition of Championship Rounds. Closer to the big fight, we'll chat about everything that's going on.
We'll do it a couple more times.
Yeah, we'll find out perspectives from the mixed martial arts world, from the boxing world, and everything in between. But got to thank Mark, you guys for tuning in. He's Robin Black. I'm John Ramdeen. So long, suckers.